Everyone, welcome back. In this episode, really quickly, we're going to be replacing the bypass hose. This hose right in here, you can see how it's bulging out the side. This is a radiator hose. This is the piece of the radiator hose that I cut off when I put the supercharger in, and it's just not built for the pressure. So I've got an actual boost hose that's 1.5 inches that's going to go in here. I'll give you the part number linked in the description, but let's get this out. So I've pulled off the vacuum lines. That's all I've done so far. So there's the part number. There you can see 1.5 inches. This is the important part, 4-ply, 5.4 millimeters turbo hose. So this is a specific hose for pressure, air pressure. So that's going to be cut, and let's put it in there. Let's get that old hose out. Loosened the coil pack here, slid it back a bit, and now I'm just taking off the little blow-off valve. Get that out of the way, and then what I thought is I'd slide the pipe onto there, the tube onto there, and then fit it onto the intake, and then slide the whole works in and put these screws back in with a little bit of Loctite. So there we go, that's our tube, and it looks almost the right size. It's maybe about a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch taller. Here's the old one. Notice what it's doing. So it's separating the layers of rubber, because when this blow off goes, it's usually under suction, right? And so it sucks it in, then it blows it out, sucks it in. It's just not what a radiator hose is meant to do. So this thing's gonna fix it all up. Look at all those layers of ply. Let's get that in there. Position the clamp between the two bolts so I can get those bolts in there. And then I've tightened up this bottom clamp also just to keep it up top so I'm not fighting with it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and slide that in sideways, snap it over top of the lip down there on the intake, obviously pull out the little paper I got to plug the hole, and then drop that clamp down on it, and then put these bolts on with a little bit of Loctite. Okay, this is not going on as easy as I thought. What I'm gonna do, because it's quite cold out right now, is I'm just gonna warm this tube up really lightly with my heat gun, just so it's nice and flexible, because right now it's very solid and it's hard to get it to flex to get it over top of that intake. Okay, it's in, but that was not fun at all. Definitely recommend you do this before bolting this thing together. Just thought I'd show you this real quickly. You probably already know this stuff, but if you've got a bolt like this that you're trying to put in, and as you're feeding it in there, you're worried about it falling off, if you take and just put a little bit of grease in the head of it and then push the bit into there, it'll hold. And then it won't be falling off on you as you're trying to feed it into something that's very difficult. This is also the socket setup I've got, especially in between the intake and the supercharger, basically the lower and the upper intake. It's very tight in there, so this fits in good. These are little micro wrenches. They're very fine, but that's how I've been putting it in, and it's working so far. Just very tedious. Okay, you got everything attached. Let's fire it up.